John Matthews had always been a man of few words, but unshakable principles. At 38, his body bore the rugged strength of years spent under the hood of cars, hauling engines and working long hours in a sweltering garage on the south side of town. He wasn't rich, but he had everything that mattered. A loving wife, Naomi, and their spirited 9-year-old daughter, Lila. His life was simple, predictable, and, in his eyes, perfect. But all of that changed in a single night. It was late evening, the sun long since set, when John left the garage after finishing a rush job for a loyal customer. His pickup truck hummed down a quiet street on the edge of the city. The roads were unusually deserted, a subtle warning he didn't yet recognize. As he slowed near an intersection, headlights flashed ahead. Parked cars on both sides, something blocking the road. Then he saw it. A woman in her 40s, dressed in an elegant silk blouse and tailored slacks, cornered by 4 men in hoodies. They were roughing her up, their hands tearing at her purse, their laughter sharp and cruel. John didn't hesitate. He swung the truck around, headlights glaring into the alley. The men froze for just a second, long enough for John to throw the door open and stride out. "Let her go," John growled, his voice steady and low. The gang laughed. The leader, a tall man with tattoos crawling up his neck, sneered. "Mind your business, hero, unless you want to end up in the ER." But John wasn't built for backing down. When the first thug lunged, John sidestepped, his fist connecting with the man's jaw in a bone-crunching blow. The second came with a knife. John twisted his wrist until the blade clattered to the ground and drove an elbow into his ribs. The fight was brutal but quick. John's raw power and precision overwhelmed them. 2 of the gang members scrambled away nursing injuries, cursing threats over their shoulders. The others fled into the shadows, dragging themselves toward a getaway car. The woman clutched her torn blouse, eyes wide. "Thank you," she gasped, voice trembling. You saved my life." John nodded, helping her to her feet. "Get home safe. Call the cops." He didn't give his name, didn't wait for gratitude. He simply drove off, unaware of the vengeful eyes that now tracked him from a distance. The next night, John returned home late from work. His apartment door was ajar. Cold dread coiled in his stomach. He stepped inside cautiously, then froze. The living room was overturned, glass shattered, furniture ripped apart. Naomi lay motionless on the floor, blood pooling around her head. His heart stopped. "Naomi!" He dropped to his knees, shaking her, screaming her name. But she was gone. His ears rang, his vision blurred, but then another horror cut through the haze. Lila was nowhere to be found. On the wall, written in spray paint, were 3 chilling words. "Payback has come." John's world collapsed. The police arrived, flashing lights bathing the apartment in a cold glow. Neighbors whispered from doorways. Officers pulled John back as he clung to his wife's body. "Where's my daughter?" he demanded, his voice raw. Detective Marcus Rowe, a tall man with a lined face and quiet authority, crouched beside him. "We'll find her." "But John," "You need to step back. We need to process the scene." John wasn't listening, his entire being burned with a single vow: bring Lila back. Make them pay. The next morning, John stood in the morgue, staring at Naomi's lifeless face. The coroner spoke gently. "When do you want to arrange the funeral?" John shook his head, jaw clenched. "Not until I bring my daughter home. Not until the people who did this are in the ground. Keep her here. Don't bury her until I say so." John started his own search. He had no badge, no backup, just his fists, his instincts, and a mechanic's mind that could take apart more than just engines. Using contacts from the streets, customers, old friends who owed him favors, he tracked whispers of the gang. A crew led by a ruthless man named Dante Cole. They ran drugs, extorted local shops, and didn't hesitate to kill. John's first lead came from a jittery informant in a rundown diner. "They're holding someone in an old auto shop outside town," the man muttered. "But it's guarded. Watch yourself." John went that night. Moving like a ghost, he slipped past broken fences, his fists wrapped in duct tape for grip. Inside, he found 2 gang members counting cash. They didn't see him coming until it was too late. The fight was savage. John used every tool at hand, a wrench, a chain, his own fury. One man ended up unconscious. The other, barely breathing, whispered an address before John left him sprawled in oil and blood. Days passed, each encounter pushing John deeper into darkness. He interrogated, tracked, and dismantled Dante's operation piece by piece. At an abandoned warehouse, he finally found Lila, terrified but alive. He cut her bonds, whispered, "Daddy's here," and held her tight, his eyes wet for the first time in years. But Dante wasn't finished. The gang kingpin cornered John 2 nights later, bringing reinforcements. The final showdown erupted in a junkyard under pouring rain, headlights flashing like lightning. John fought with everything he had. Every punch fueled by Naomi's memory, every kick by Lila's cry for help. By the end, Dante lay broken, his empire in ruins. When police arrived, they didn't see a hero. They saw a man standing over bodies. John was arrested, charged with murder and vigilantism. Lila wept as they took her father away in handcuffs. In court, the case seemed hopeless, until the woman John had saved that first night stepped forward. Her name was Victoria Hale, a wealthy philanthropist who recognized him instantly. "This man saved my life," she told the judge, voice steady. "If not for him, I wouldn't be standing here today. He's no criminal. He's a father who was left with no choice." The judge weighed the evidence and, in a rare moment of human compassion, dismissed the charges. John was free. Weeks later, Naomi was finally laid to rest. The funeral was small, quiet. John stood beside Lila, holding her hand. Victoria was there too, her eyes filled with empathy. She visited John's home in the weeks that followed, helping Lila adjust, quietly offering support. Affection grew, not rushed, not forced, but born of shared pain and gratitude. As John shoveled the last earth over Naomi's grave, he whispered, "It's done. Rest now." But as the credits rolled on his vengeance, a shadow loomed. A hint that Dante's allies might still be out there, watching. As John drove home with Lila asleep in the back seat, a black SUV pulled out 2 cars behind him. Its tinted windows hid the driver's face. John has buried his wife, saved his daughter, and crushed those who hurt his family. But is the war really over? Or is this just the calm before the next storm? What do you think? Should John walk away? Or will vengeance come calling again?